Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Merrimack Trustees of Trust Funds, June 16th meeting. I'm Chris Christensen. To my right is,
Bill Wilkes, trustee.
and to my left.
Liz Petrides, trustee.
And Tom Boland, finance director.
Our first order of business is for the minutes of the May 19th meeting. Do we have a
I will
motion?
motion we accept the minutes of May 19th, 2023 as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I guess as written says it all, huh? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3-0-0. Okay. Next item is just brief discussion. I don't know that we have to do anything, but we had an extended discussion last month with Eric Jusome and Lindsay
Donovan.
Donovan. I keep wanting to say Doherty. Donovan. Thank you. And I don't know if you have any questions or other thoughts as we move along. Anything that came up in that discussion that we need to bring back to them?
I was pretty pleased with what they were saying. I heard yesterday that, everybody's got their own opinion if you listen to the financial reports, but they were saying that it's a good time to buy medium to longer term treasuries because they think treasuries have probably come close to peaking, that they usually peak 6 to 9 months before the Fed peaks on their raising interest rates, and that they probably had a good yield and would appreciate going forward for what it's worth.
I remember a long time ago when you could buy 15-year CDs or 10-year CDs for 15%, right after the
Early 80s.
early 80s, yeah. But be that as it may, I did, this goes into the next item, but I did have a little email back and forth with Eric about the investment policy. And in part of that, I noticed that we had pretty much paralleled the scholarship fund, the common principal, and the common income fund. And he says he thinks the income policy is flexible enough, the investment policy is flexible enough that the income fund can be a little bit more aggressively managed than the other two. So we're looking at, stock markets yesterday and hopefully again today, but yesterday was a big boom day. That we may be at a point where they start investing a little bit more, looking for some growth in that particular fund because we can spend capital gains if it suits us. So anyway, that was I don't think we really had anything that was a good review. They seem to be doing well, and I have nothing else to add to that. The investment policy. They reviewed it. I reviewed it. I'm sure you two guys did. And Tom. I think the only thing that needs to be changed is the dates, but if you have something you want to change, now's the time to bring it up for discussion, and then we'll approve it at the August meeting.
We looked at it quite a bit last year, and I was happy with what we did, which wasn't a lot, but a couple of minor tweaks last year, so I didn't see any point in changing anything this year. I think it's meets the criteria that's important to us.
Okay. Liz, anything? You were part of the discussion last year.
Yeah, I wasn't, but nothing stood out from what I read. It looks solid.
Okay. Tom, anything from you?
The only thing that I wondered about is the target yield. Certainly the yield landscape has changed a little bit in the past year. I didn't know if the ranges that were in there still made sense, or whether they should be revisited, but that was my
I
only,
think the copy that you got was from 2021, which was then rolled over in 22. And the target range was 2.5% to 3%.
I think
And in
that's what I
22,
was
we
looking
changed it to 2.5% to 4%.
at. Okay,
So I think the 4% is probably good.
yeah,
That'll get fixed in the final copy that we sign in August.
okay.
Unless somebody thinks we ought to go to 4.5 or some other, but I think we
I
can,
mean,
we
you
can
can
chase yields a little bit too much, and then
Right,
we get egg on our face for trying to be ridiculously aggressive, which isn't our goal.
right.
Well, I think right now, they are taking advantage of some yields that are up in the 4.5% to 5%. I don't think they're limited. I mean, that's a target. It's not like a hard ceiling, if you want to call it that. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can get 4.5, almost 5% on cash,
right,
so
right.
I think they're
And they're
well.
doing some of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I was looking at the draft that had 3% as the upper range, and I thought that was a
Yeah.
little low, but the 4% I think makes more sense.
Yeah, because I think if we expect in the common income fund, for example, if we're looking at a little bit more growth in that, then we may be into some more tech funds where there's lower yields but more growth, and that one is supposed to be managed for total return. So I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, we got a bill for $159,500 for the Merrimack High School Library. We paid that. It was approved, I think, in March or April of a year ago. So there's a time lag when they did the work, and I think the work was finished in October, and the school paid it. But then they're kind of catching up at the end of the year. So we've paid that one, which was previously approved. The flower funds, we approved up to
200.
200. We have the same price as last year and the year before. So we paid $118.50. And we have a request for capital reserve fund reimbursements of $1,304,706.21. Do you want to say anything about that, Tom?
I don't have any specific comments. It's a little bit lighter than it's been the last couple of years. I think that is reflective of a few different things, but certainly the inflationary pressures that we're seeing. We're sending things out to bid and getting back, numbers that just don't really make sense or work. So projects are being kind of delayed. So while this year's request for reimbursement of funds that the town has spent is a little bit light, there may, hopefully if the inflationary pressures ease and things normalize a little bit more, some of those projects that have been deferred may get picked up in future years. So we may see that request increase fairly significantly in future years.
Okay. You sent us all copies of the backup material, And I went through some of it. It's 150 pages of charts and graphs and numbers, so it's hard to
Yeah.
do it all in a half hour.
Yep.
But I appreciate that. We traditionally relied on the auditors somewhat to be the backup on the accuracy of the capital reserve fund
Right.
accounts and withdrawals and so forth. So
Yeah.
I think we're good. But every once in a while we catch something. I remember that the insurance issues we picked up on some years ago. And I did look at one, and the pages aren't numbered, and when they spit out of my printer, they didn't all come out in the same sequence as they spread across the floor. So I can understand how people who store stuff on the floor are confused. But anyway, on the first one, it was like 1 through 39 pages, and page 22 I happened to pick out in that range was $576,000, I think, for the wastewater treatment facility, and that was indicated the amount paid. And then the request for reimbursement was, I don't remember exactly what it was, let's say 300,000. And I couldn't mash those numbers up. So not a big deal this time around, and we'll go through it again. But if there's a mechanism where the backup material can be labeled somehow that says these next 12 pages go to
Mm-hmm.
this capital reserve fund and that capital reserve fund, and it'd just be easier for us
Yeah.
to match it up.
That wastewater improvement project is fairly complicated, and
Yes.
I understand
It
exactly
was a
what you're
10-page invoice.
exactly what you're saying. Probably more than that. But the issue there is that there are a lot of different components that were being billed for on that project, not all of which are capital reserve fund related. Some of it is ARPA grant money, and there's most of it is actually state revolving fund loan stuff that we get loan advances to cover. So the capital reserve component piece of it is not the whole invoice, but I understand what you're saying. We could probably build a roadmap that makes it a little easier to follow, so that you can pick out the capital reserve fund related stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to make it a whole nother round of work for whoever's doing that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But it is a little tricky for us to wade through sometimes.
I understand what you're saying. Absolutely.
Well, in the meantime, we need a motion to approve the reimbursement of $1,304,706.21. Who wants to go first?
I'll motion to approve the funds for the from capital reserve funds to reimburse the town for $1,304,706.21.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0-0. And I will send a letter of instruction to the bank. We get out of this meeting, and they should wire it to you today or Monday.
Perfect.
Is Monday a holiday for the banks and for the town?
Oh, Juneteenth, it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
No, Tuesday.
Some of those things are tricky.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things, the next item on the agenda, annual organization. We're supposed to pick a bookkeeper or a treasurer or a secretary or some sort of duties which I, as chairman, have been doing in the past. I'm willing to continue, but if somebody, I haven't seen any campaign signs up, whatever you want to do.
I'm happy with the way things are, but if somebody's interested,
Liz, anything?
I would prefer you stick with it for now, and I can watch and observe.
Oh, she's working up to it. I can see the printing of the
We're not there
signs
yet.
is coming. You're gonna be in the yard in another
Yeah,
year.
no one will see it.
All right, so we'll just say by consensus. Thank you for your vote of confidence.
I do have something that sort of relates to that.
Okay, good.
I guess. It was nice having an alternate when we had Liz, and I was just curious if we wanted to try to have another alternate in the future. Because it was fairly seamless to have Liz in the wings.
Didn't we say we could have 2 alternates?
We're allowed to under the statute, yes. We didn't have a bunch of people coming forward. We certainly appreciate your high level of activity as an alternate. You were here all the time. That was great. Because as Bill says, when you picked up the office, it was a seamless transition. That's very helpful. So yeah, I think that's something we should.
Is that something we should advertise or have Justin advertise? Or, I mean, do we have that?
I think maybe in the fall, because we're not going to meet in July,
Right.
so we don't have a lot of time to, review resumes or anything like that. We can certainly put it on the town website along with all the other boards who have open slots. So I will talk to Becky and have her add that to the list. And in the meantime, if we find somebody suitable, we can certainly talk to them about what's involved and move forward. So I think you're right. That's a good idea.
Always looking for youth.
Yeah, good luck. No.
Future meetings, August 16th. We're pretty much locked into that because we have to approve the,
18th, it says.
18th. We have to approve the annual reports before September 1st and sign the investment policy. So those, we're pretty much locked into that one. As we mentioned earlier, no July meeting, and September could be the 15th or the 22nd. Traditionally, we've gone a little bit later because the monthly reports didn't really come out. If they came out on the 13th or 14th, nobody had a chance to review them before the 15th. Now we're doing quarterly reports. That date is less fixed. So we can do
When will
either one.
when will your last meeting be?
I wouldn't make either one of those dates in September. My last day is the 12th.
So you'll be here for the August, obviously.
Yes.
I have no preference.
Yeah, I don't have a preference either.
All right, let's go for the 22nd. No good reason, but gives us a chance for other stuff to simmer on the back of the stove. Any other issues that we should be discussing, bringing up, acting upon, or future awareness?
That invoice I sent for the camp scholarships from the Bear Christensen Fund, is there any need to take any additional action on that? You guys had already approved the donation.
Yeah, no, we
I
were
think
just
you were
waiting
just
for an
looking for the,
invoice of some sort from the
Okay.
town.
all right, so we're good
So-
on that?
Yep.
Okay,
That's paid through Cambridge Trust, correct?
yeah,
Right.
Right.
But the rule is we can't pay anything without an invoice. And the process of getting an amount agreed upon and then having the town approve and invoice it gives us a little bit of a delay in there. So we just got the invoice yesterday.
Yep.
And that will go to the bank today, and you should have it before the end of the fiscal year.
all right.
Sounds good.
There was, as you may recall, this a couple of years ago, some confusion about whether you needed a public hearing or just action of the town council, and Matt was talking to Paul, and they were sorting it out. And I think everything is clearer now than it was before. So I think we're set for the future. If we have any other items like that, that we just have to go with their flow. So anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:25.